What's going on, everybody? And welcome back to Sharing Our Stories. My name is Slim with Nani Alex Leo and Timothy DeWeese as our guest this evening. And I want to thank you for joining us. If this is your first time, what's our first time? We welcome you and thank you for being here with us. This program is all about addiction and recovery. We like to share. Yeah, jeez. Hold on, hold on. That's my name is Slim. Nani Alex Leo and quiet. All right, thanks. All right. We share stories of addiction because we want to show you that you recover. There's many different pathways to recovery. It's not just one way to do it. And so we bring in somebody each week to share their struggles with addiction. Maybe something that you relate to, a family member or a friend can relate to, and then talk about their recovery. So we have somebody really awesome here. It's his second time on the program because he's come in to celebrate his recovery. And we're still celebrating his recovery. What he's doing. Recovery. Yeah. I'll pass it over to Nani. Actually, you know what? Before I want to share something real quick. Before we get right into this, I got to celebrate something with you guys. My friend Frank celebrated his 1 year of recovery. And at 7:30 in the morning, I had an alarm set for it. He doesn't know that like 2 weeks ago when he was like, "Hey, my recovery is on the 26th," I put it right in my phone. And I set a reminder because I wanted to hit him up early in the morning before he even got a chance to be like on Facebook and be like, "Look, just saw it on Facebook." Right? So I got up early. Hit him up early this morning. I just hit him up and said, "Man, congratulations! It's your 1 year. Happy 1 year. You have a lot of people surrounding you with their joy and love, and that's your family. And keep up the good work and just live, bro." And he wrote me back. He said, "Thank you, my brother. It was you that inspired me to get sober. I wanted the joy and happiness you possessed. So thank you. I really appreciate you." And we went back and forth from there.
Absolutely.
It was really encouraging to hear. But I also want him to know that it's not always joy and happiness. Sometimes I'm still suffering and struggling, and times are not easy. Times are hard. But I still just celebrate my recovery, and I'm glad he sees that joy and that happiness coming out of me because I know that's not something that used to be shown before. So I want to celebrate him saying that, but I just want to just be real and say it's not always just joy and happiness. And I think now after saying that, that kind of leads into what we have to say with Tim today.
Yeah.
Because Tim in his recovery right now, it's not always joy and happiness.
Right.
So I'm gonna pass it on to Nani.
Yeah.
To do a little introduction here to Tim again. And then Tim, I want to thank you for being back here, my friend. And I appreciate it.
Congratulations, Frank.
Yeah, Frank.
Yeah, great. Congratulations on 1 year.
That's huge.
And you're joying, you're happy, bro. I know you have it. I know.
And it's okay if you have days that you don't.
That's
Yes.
right.
So Tim, we had Timothy come on the program. It was last January, so last year January, and you shared a great story with us. We were incredibly grateful for hearing about what you did for TC and different things, and then reached out again. You and I actually ran into each other both about a month ago at a peer recovery get together network event. But I was really glad to hear that you wanted to come back on the show because what you are here to talk about today is that no matter what, we do recover. And even in the face of great adversity and challenges, we still have a choice to stay sober and clean. And that's a huge part of what we have to go through because there's that concept of life true testament. So thank you for your willingness to come back. Thank you for your willingness to share where you're at.
Yeah. Thank you both for having me back. I'm very, very humbled, very grateful. We'll let everyone know that I might get a little emotional this evening, but I feel that ties into being vulnerable, which is one of the keystones to recovery, is to be open and vulnerable. to show your emotions that you're going through. Because if you're like me, which I'm assuming a lot of people are out there, I don't like to do that, but I'm pretty sure that we're a lot alike. We suppress our feelings with substance use, drugs, alcohol, because we don't want to feel. And I'm not talking about physical pain. I'm talking about feel. We like to hide that with that magical substance for me that I found at a young age that took away that pain. And that was sneaking largemouth Mickeys out of my cat's cooler out in the garage, when he didn't know, right?
How old were you at that time?
So 13.
13.
I was living in Palisades, Colorado, which is really where I grew up. I was born in Los Angeles, California, which is in relative proximity to where they just had all the fires there in Lake County and such. Colorado, here, and had a pretty good upbringing, in the country. And rural part of Colorado back then. It's popularized now, the wineries and everything else. And when I hear that the conjunction, unfortunately, is just as bad as West Colfax nowadays, unfortunately. But anyhow, I had a pretty good childhood as I grew up. And I thought it was fun when I was younger. High school, partying, I was cool for a change, because the pain started at elementary school. This is where I like to get, really bad on people is, and it escaped me for the longest amount of time in my life as to why I did what I did as far as using those. Because I would get bullied and picked on, teased a lot, and I really stood up for myself, and I didn't have no excuse. But when I was old enough to crack that Mickey's open, oh boy, I tell you what a magical coping skill that was. And then I became, I got on the football team, and I was cool. And then
That's the thing. It's everybody just kind of helps you up.
right,
You're cool.
it was the thing to do.
Yeah.
Right. You were either cool or you weren't cool. If you wanted to be cool, then that's what you did, and that's what the route that I decided to go. And being a latchkey kid, I didn't have a lot of structure or attendance to, like, my parents weren't there around me. So running amok, doing whatever I could do, right? So nobody really knew about it, right? And then I moved to Summit County, Colorado. I worked at Copper Mountain Ski Resort. You do. You ski and you park. And it was, that's when the consequences started. Maybe I didn't really pay too much consequences when my second DUI. And did my time, it was really easy, 5 days in Summit County jail, like 5 days at the Ritz-Carlton, compared to 5 days in Arapahoe County, for instance, right? So, and it was, I was Friday night staying and working each during the next day, and then getting out the next night, kind of thing. And you got the nice food, and it was a really nice trip.
Wasn't there is it true that there was a college school right next door to the jail who used to bring lunches or dinners or something over? Is that real, or is that just?
That could be.
Sounds checks out, right?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like Breckenridge, right? It wasn't that. I mean, the culinary school was like our cell. We were the cooks, and we cooked. It was good. It was good stuff. It wasn't smashed together plates of.
You think that maybe it being, like you're saying like maybe it didn't make it you were afraid of?
Yeah, it's because it's not painful to have to go back. You're just like, all right, well, I guess I'll sleep here tonight.
Yeah. I got the
Warm bed, good food, warm bed.
Yeah. Got to leave
Getting back out the next day.
No big deal.
No big deal.
Right.
Exactly.
That's pretty much what it was. And it really wasn't, it was more like a slap on the wrist. So life goes on. I moved back up to Denver because it just way too expensive in some account. Exploded as far as ski resort population because you can't afford to live up there unless you're probably 10 of you in a 2-bedroom apartment, right? And all the people that I was sharing a place with, they all went their separate ways, and I had cousins that lived in Denver. So I went back down to Denver, and my cousins lived there for quite a while, and then that's when I met my wife. Got married, kids, life. Like I got to be an adult all of a sudden. I can't be out doing all these things I used to be doing. Okay? And such. And then came marital consequences. Not coming home till after, right? Because I didn't deal with all the chaos that had been going on all day. Such like that. And that was my reason why the beer and bars and all became and
at home.
And yes. Oh yeah. Stash. Name it. Those of you that go to meetings and have been in meetings, you know the stories. You have your stash, and then that stash had a stash. And you had to make sure that that stash didn't get found. The first one okay, but you always had, it talks about it in the big book. The gentleman had his stash hit on his pillow and hoping that his wife wouldn't find it because he was going to need it the next morning to shake it off, to get his day going. And I became that person. I have that every morning to get started. I was still functional and was able to keep my job. But, I had to have that one to get moving. During the week. All it took. The time I woke up until I passed out in the afternoon. And then
I know what you're talking about.
As do I. Know it.
Sooner or later, my wife got tired of it as well as my children, and said, divorce. And kids didn't want to be around me, and they were tired of it. And, started couch hopping and at my mom's and beg, borrowing, and stealing whatever I could to get that my system. And it didn't really. I look back upon it now, right? And it like affect what who does this, right? Because I had such, when I was in Summit County living up there, I was only working at a ski resort, but I was also a volunteer firefighter up there, and I was giving my time to go and help others in need,
Contributing to your community.
Yeah, exactly. There was this was a time, and I don't know if people that are watching may remember when the Pope came to Denver. And I walked out that whole life, even last time I was here. And I volunteered to come to Denver and work with the EMS and the EMTs and army guys. And help them because I was a EMT, and I got to be in the same 2 square mile radius of Pope. That was pretty cool. But I still needed to drink. That didn't even phase me at all. I was still okay, cool. Here's the When do I get done so I can go get loaded? Every day it seemed like that's through my brain. When can I start? 5 o'clock. This clock hit 5 o'clock. Boom! I was at the liquor store, and I know everyone around the entire Denver metro area. I knew which one was open till when, what time they opened. Boy, Saturdays before they changed the law, Saturdays were rough. Sundays were rough.
Started having it on Sunday.
Yeah.
When you couldn't buy liquor on Sunday.
Right. Remember those days?
I remember driving all the way to Wyoming.
Oh yeah, you told that.
Right. Only once, but I just remember being the time when I was like, it's like
it is.
Especially because I could have gone to a bar. but I was like,
but at a certain point, who drinks at bars anymore?
I mean, if I drank in bars, I'd still be drinking because thankfully I didn't go to bars. So when midnight, my last day of drinking, there was a cutoff. It was midnight. It wasn't going to sleep. We'll start tomorrow. Now 24 hours.
Right.
Yeah. And when you're a real type of drinker too, it's cheaper to drive to Wyoming than it is to sit at the bar.
Well, I knew if you went, I still remember. I knew if I went to Wyoming, I'd have liquor. For the rest of the day.
Right.
You know, it wasn't just sitting at the bar for a couple hours. It was I needed to have the stash.
Yeah.
You know.
A lot of planning.
A lot of planning.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We were talking about,
What
you know, like,
you know which liquor stores opened on time?
Yeah.
Especially when we switched to Sundays and you buy liquor, you knew this person opens right at 10.
Yep.
This person opens at 11:30. They're a slacker.
Oh yeah.
Right? Because I'd be mad. That's how I felt. I'd be like, dang, they're till 11. Yeah, I know to go with this one. And then when the other one there, they wouldn't open at 10, wouldn't open. I'm over at the 11:30 one at 11 o'clock going, why aren't you open yet? I know you're coming. You know. Yeah, so you were there too.
Oh yeah. I was sitting there waiting.
It's your third key.
Exactly.
If you're using the wrong one, you can open this faster.
And you would open the door. Right? That's exactly how it was. And then they changed that. Now what alcohol extreme. Like, oh my God, I don't have to worry about all that anymore. I can just get up and be there the next morning, and I got enough class meetings 7 days a week, except for that one day. Last year, that one day was no longer that day. Now it's every day. So you don't have to like think about how much you're going to buy before Christmas. You can go on Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Christmas. And I remember that Christmas once I was go to a bar. I was terrified to go to a bar, right? Because I only had enough money to get like a beer. Or that money that I could have gotten like 4 or 5 shots at a beer store. So
And you contemplate all these things for life at the moment. How are you going to get your alcohol? Same people say the same thing for drugs. Most important thing. That's all that matters. How can I get the most bang for my buck?
Right. And how am I going to get it? How am I going to rearrange my life? And at all costs, right? I didn't care that, you know, the son is calling me. So, you know, where is your paycheck? You just got paid, and we're out of groceries, and it's Saturday. You just got paid yesterday. Like, I didn't care. Like, it was that bad, right? So that got worse, and then, you know, I shared last time when I was here, you know, got to the point where, you know, I ended up putting myself in a pretty auspicious situation, if you will, that I ended up, you know, getting stabbed 7 times and left to die, bleed out, and I made it through that. I went on 10 more years, you know.
After getting stabbed.
That was the drinking because I like the instant gratification, and I like somebody to pay attention to me because I didn't get that when I was a kid. There's some work that is involved. So that it's called the inner child work, right? We all have one. We all have a little girl inside, a little boy inside, right? And he likes to play. Mine likes to play, but he also likes to be comforted. He also likes to make sure that he's safe. That's my job as the adult, is to make sure that little guy inside is right. But sometimes that little guy likes to have a little bit too much fun. I'm on the show for far too long because I was the adult who could live out his fantasy, if you will, right? And go party, do whatever I wanted. I just did whatever I wanted, right? I mean, I had no care for life, not even my own. My kids, like driving around drunk with my kids. A lot of the vulnerable stuff that I really had to get deep with when I got to the point that I was finally done. I was after college. Now, remember, I grew up in the state of Colorado. Rural, see Reagan, don't do drugs.
The war on
drugs. The whole thing came through, and I was terrified of even going to Denver, right? Let alone like
you're kind of a country guy.
Yeah,
you're not a big city guy.
No, not at all. We didn't even smoke weed. We was, you know, that like heard of, right? Beer, yeehaw, and all that was okay. But and then I come to Denver, and towards the end of my illustrious career of substance use, I ended up on these cold facts. I was into a cold necessity to track. And that led to some serious, scary places to get that, let alone 11 years before that, I was in a pretty scary place, and that didn't do it. I continued further. So,
real quick, Tim. So the progression that you felt from the boozing and the built and built and built until you were finally like, I just genuinely don't care about any of these things. And so I think it's funny, that's a logical next step. And then smoking crack for you just became the logical next step. Because for a lot of people, there's that space in between where it's like, yes, they're smoking a lot of weed, or maybe they're trying some other substances. But for you, it was that the lifestyle and the lifestyle.
Right.
Yeah.
It's 100% progression. I did a lot of AA and I do stay involved with the sponsor and everything so I can stay on top of my recovery. It clearly says it in, but it's and there was a 2-year span when I was in Summit County when I got that second DUI and I stopped drinking. That was, other than the age of 1 to 13, that was about the only time I had. And it was, fear, and then I know that, and they're not coming. So it just progressively got worse. And third, the multiple times of being, locked up for random misdemeanor charges.
Get the point of life. It's 13.
That was it. That's what I did. And I didn't care. I had no regard for anybody else's life, including my own. That's what I got to the point that I didn't even care. So put that all aside. That's what led up to. I just turned 56 in February.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. I was also my 4-year sobriety date. February, 2 days after my birthday. But when 52 is when I finally went to Stout Street.
What got you there?
So my the road.
What was the end?
I was unemployable, unattainable, undesirable. I had nowhere to live. I had no car. I had no license. I was, either that or push a cart down the street, live under a bridge, or die. I was that to that point. I had tried. Months before I went in February of 2021, and I tried starting to get in and accepted for 2020. Wanted that last blowout, right? I wanted one. If I'm going to stop, then I'm going to have this one last everything. Right? Trying to orchestrate the show. Never came to. So I did. I had to do some time to clear a warrant right in the middle of COVID. Did that, and I went into South Street again because I had nowhere else to go. My mom would sister moved my mom to Florida to get her away from me. Again, no, anybody else.
You said your sister moved your mom to Florida to get her away from you.
Yeah, stealing my mom's Social Security.
Gotcha.
What I so at that point I just was. I found the trap door. There is a trap door. The trap door. So I went, and I can't say enough about Stout Street. I don't know if it's TC, which is a therapeutic community behavioral modification program. It's designed to not focus on the addiction, but to focus on why you become the addict. And where does that derive from? Well, for me, elementary school. That papers that I carried around in my backpack for so long about I was ashamed to talk about. I wasn't ready to be vulnerable and open and honest with everybody. It didn't have any coping skills to talk about how I felt and such. And with the man back then, and even today, right? That's what we don't talk about that stuff, right? I say it to now, just suck it up. And I was able, in that atmosphere, it was safe, and I was able to finally open up, start meeting vulnerable peers that were like me. They may have been from a different county, a different city, a different state, a different type of drug, but ultimately we were addicts. Yeah. And we will do whatever we have to do to get off drug or alcohol, no matter what, including stepping on our own toes to get to that point. So I've learned so much. I am indebted to Stout Street for giving me the tools to be able to literally save my life. And if they didn't do it for me, and as you know, Nani, TCs are rough.
But you got to do the work.
Yeah.
They give you the tools.
Yeah.
But you have to do the work.
You do the work, whether it be sitting on your butt on a bench for some consequences or whatever, the Haven has similar such like that as far as consequences. They work you as far as work. But they also give you like a lot of skills. They made me the legal clerk. The only legal experience I had was in front of the judge, just going, "Okay, Mr. DeWeese, I see you back in my courtroom again." So I learned a lot of logistical stuff on how to navigate the legal system, right? Word, Excel programs. I got my GMAP certification, so it's a qualified medical administrative person, so I can work in like nursing homes and help patients, which is give me an opportunity to get a job. I've done it Step Street. Do that 18 months inpatient, right? And a lot of people are like, "Whoa, 18 months inpatient, right?" Like, okay, what I got to work. And here's the kicker: you throw at people in the hospital, and you can't have it all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who you got to call, fool? You got to call your baby mama you haven't talked to in 5 years. All of a sudden, I hope y'all, because this is real. I would hear from people like, "Kids, where have you been for 5 years?" I'm speaking from experience, right? Because this is everything that I'm speaking of is my experience. I did it, not maybe to the most, but I did it. I neglected my wife. Total advantage. The only person in the world that loved me to death, no matter what. And just, just not a very nice person, right? So it gave me a lot of tools going back to the inner child and learning how to understand my life traps, my go-tos, and when I start feeling comfortable, what is my go-to? With ice cream, with Snickers, was I don't feel, that she's being nice to me or whatever, so I'll go to the train my thoughts and be able to cognitively work my way through the thought at hand, right? Doing that by using like a lot of positive actions and internal building. So indebted to South Street. I'm still a graduate student. I go to my counselor every Wednesday. They're having graduation again this Saturday for the next year's, and so it'll be 2 years since I've walked this stage. But I will say there is no graduation to recovery. I will repeat this: there is no graduation to recovery. There's no finish line. If you are truly an addict, an alcoholic, this is new life. And I also have news for you. It's beautiful, but it's also the B word as well. It's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not rainbows and unicorns. It's tough. You're gonna have good days. You're gonna have bad days. I find now that I've been in recovery long, I have more string of good days than I do bad days. Since being up there, I've been able to. I am a recovery coach. I help people in early recovery. Can I plug?
Absolutely.
I work for Authentic Recovery Homes.
Hi, Bree and Kelly.
Yes,
Love them.
yes, I do. I do. They're very authentic.
Yes.
Needless to say,
Awesome people.
incredible people. Have a TC background and mindset and goals that are aligned, that I align with, that we would like to do and work as a coach. It's not about the money. It's about planting the seed. It's about helping. A guy called me today, just out of the blue, that I worked with for almost a year ago. About 8 months ago, he ended up having to spend a night behind Big Lots next to a dumpster. This is a man that is makes 6 figures a year. That was so low that he slept through a dumpster behind a Big Lots, and he still calls me to let just to check in and let me know how he's doing since that last bout of his relapse that he had. So I like to think that I have an impact and I can plant the seed by doing this job. That's what gives me the goosebumps right there.
Fill your heart up way more than money ever will.
You can do that, then everything's awesome. It really does. And I love what I do. I love the people that I work with. I love to see the young men grow. Men my age,
Still a young man.
you know.
Yeah. I'm right, we're just a little behind you, so
Right.
we're still young men.
We're still there,
Yeah,
right?
we're still there.
But to see that spark come on, right, or that light bulb come on, and see by listening to my lived experience, and to be able to give them some of my hope, strength, and courage, and challenges that I've been through, and the challenge that I'm facing. That's very emotional, and it's okay. It's part of the process. So yeah, everything's going really well. I met this great woman. She has 10 years in sobriety. Jenny, I love you. Almost 11 years, coming up very soon. Things are just really falling into place for us. It's we both support each other kind of relationship, which I really would like to have. We're not going to have a relationship and stuff. It's the first relationship I've had sober. Still, but it's working, right? Because I'm not selfish like it used to be. It was all these about. So that's one of the beauties. Over a year ago, when I was last year, my oldest, Colin, he pretty much said, "I don't ever want to talk to you." I talk to my son, Ethan, at least once or twice a week. We go to the shooting range. We had fun together.
These are relationships you can have.
They were gone forever. Right? But it's not the words. It's actions. Still a little on edge, and you know what? It's not right to be. I've given them nothing other than to prove them wrong. For 4 years now, they've seen action, the work that God's put, and seeing that God's actually too real this time. Right? So they have no problem talking. Like another one of the promises that come true in this program. Yeah, I have a nice vehicle on the side of the house. You know, a great network of support, not only from my Scouts group family, but also people in recovery. We have a lot of connections through people in the recovery world and such. So getting to where I was getting is life can be easy and roll along pretty well for a little while, and then bam, and you're going to hit. I like to use the analogy. What are you going to do when you get sideswiped? It's beer and cold facts. You're going to go left or you're going to go right. Well, personally, I'm tired of going left, and I'm a righty. I'm not that tired, right? So in January, I got kind of sick, and I really wasn't thinking a lot about it. And just a quick break. What happened is that I'm also a diabetic, so that's another challenge on top of itself as far as health-wise goes. But I stay in contact with my primary care doctor on a very regular 6-month basis, and I was 6-month checkup, and they noticed that my liver enzymes are elevated. I'm like, okay, here we go. I've been waiting for this. You know, hepatitis, the drinking, right? Well, that wasn't it. In the better part of January, I was diagnosed with stage 3 pancreatic cancer. And I don't know about you, but I've heard a lot of bad words in my life. I've heard a lot of bad things in my life. And one of the scariest words that I've ever heard or that I was ever scared of was that cancer. Like, so So that busted me up pretty bad. I had to do a lot of thought. How do I make it tell my kids? Like everybody's got it. It's a terminal, you have mortality rate, what's at stake. All these things. I'm not even thinking about this. All I'm thinking is that they took a sample and it was not benign. This isn't the real, right? It's like odd while I wasn't feeling very healthy. So yeah, another challenge set forth in front of me. How do I deal with that? Well, one, what you put in front of your recovery, you will lose. If I put anything in front of my recovery, you will not get through this. I cannot put my girlfriend on a pedestal, my fiance, I'm sorry. I cannot put the money or make anything other than my personal journey and recovery of substance use more important than anything. Otherwise, I won't be sitting here talking to you guys. You'll hear from me again. What has to. I have to stay involved with fellowship. It's what literally saves me. But on those really hard days when I would curl up and curl up in the corner and slam and just leave me up, it's very challenging to not act as the victim. I did that. And I'm like, I'm not acting like really. You feel it's not for me, just bad. My life sucks, right? But now is the time with the 4 years that I've had out street, use those tools that I've learned, have some humility, to be humble, to have some gratitude, to have some positive thoughts about myself. Is it, I'm not the only one, for starters, right? So who might act like the victim? I'm the only one in the entire world that has it? No. But what I can do is I can go out and I can also be a beacon positivity to those that have cancer, that have struggles with substance use, and show them with mild strength and courage that this can be done. You don't and start trying to victim. I mean, what a great opportunity because it's cancer, right? It even talks again in the book. It talks about it. Like you would treat somebody that has cancer a lot differently than you would somebody that has a drinking problem. Right? But it's the same. And until you can really wrap your head around the fact that you can be an example of positivity, gratitude, and humility to other people, whether it be cancer, whether it be substance use, whether it be any addiction of any sort. I'll tell you what, the new addiction is, and this is, forgive me, this is one of my coping mechanisms is humor. But one of the
I'm all about
ready for it.
all about that.
one of the new addictions that a lot of us have is that little blue truck that goes up and down the street that throws packages
Amazon.
on. Yes, it's like an adult ice cream truck.
I was excited to see them today.
Who isn't, right? I don't even have anything coming, and I'm looking out the door like,
Are you maybe?
I see him going by. Is there a chance? But that's
Yeah.
that's addiction itself right there. So, I love doing this because I get to hopefully spread the message and plant seeds with people out there to show them, to everyone that's listening. I hope you are, and I hope that something throughout this whole thing resonates with you somehow and you can relate.
When you first had that diagnosis, Tim, did you say to yourself, screw it, did that occur to you? Or did you just immediately start getting into what your action plan was going to look like?
I didn't really go into the screw it mode. I think I'm still in a little shock. I don't think I've fully accepted it yet. Now sitting in that chair and having these, poison pumped into your body.
The chemotherapy.
The chemotherapy is a good indication that there's a problem. But I'm still, at first was having a lot of trouble with acceptance. Like, no, this can't be, right? but I'm fortunate also that I have probably one of the best care teams in the nation, working with UC Health, working with me and the team of people and doctors and endocrinologists and everybody else that I have working with me, helping me go through this. They have they have more than I thought, and it's just amazing how much they are on top of you. Like, they want to make sure you're doing okay. They don't just say, "Okay, we'll see you in 2 weeks."
Yeah.
They'll literally follow up with me like tomorrow, and then the next day, and the whole bit. And it's one of the best cancer treatment facilities in the United States. So I'm
That's wonderful.
very fortunate, very lucky to have that. Again, very grateful for that opportunity to have. But I think I was more of, why me? Why? What else? Right? Do I have to go through to prove to you that I deserve a chance? Is really what was going through my brain, right? Like, haven't I done enough? Haven't I given back enough to people to why do you? And I'm not going to use the God word, but I use higher power as far as my spiritual connection goes. But why did you have to throw this? I just met this wonderful woman. My kids are talking to me and everything. But then I'm like, dude, come on. They told me it's not terminal. There was nothing wrong in May. And it came on between May and January, so we caught it soon enough. So there's a real good chance that this is going to be a one and done thing, right? And I continue to keep on those bad days. That's what keeps me going.
When you were thinking that, why me? What has gotten you out of that feeling or those thoughts?
Well, my support network, that's lifted me up, but I think the most of it is what they lift me up with is that, he doesn't, again, my higher power doesn't give me the smallest challenges.
No.
By any means. And so therefore it's just another, way for me to prove my worth. I don't believe in that too much. I think it's more of a way for me to be that person to spread the message, to be his agent. Again, in the book it says, and we are his agent. My higher power works through me to be able to show other people how to do this as well.
It's part of your purpose.
It's my purpose. Mm-hmm. And the stronger that I become in my purpose, the more powerful that it becomes to others. And hopefully, you were talking statistics earlier.
Secretly.
Hopefully we can, people that do this, and I'm not going to tout myself as some sort of end all be all type person. I'm just a human being that's just struggling with things, but I know I have learned how to deal with those struggles. And I want to pass that along to other people so that we can stop the statistics. Yeah. At least cut them down into, a manageable amount of statistics, because I'm tired. I just went to a memorial for a 21-year-old that went through the program with me because he OD'd in his car. And I've had 5 in just the past 3 months that I've gone through statute with that have no longer with us, plus all of the ones that we hear of and know of, in addition to the ones that aren't ever. Right? This is the problem. I'm not here to be a political martyr of any sort, but we all know it. I just want to be part of the solution, to be helpful to people. That's my purpose in life, and it feels super good, Slim and Honey. When you have that purpose and you feel that purpose, that beats $1 million in the bank any day for me. It really does, and it's magical. It's super when you can have a tough day like that and walk through it and know that you kicked its butt that day. Something about it gives you some power to yourself and power in numbers and such. So that's why I love to be able to do this. And I will throw in this part again. Here's my humorous part that I like to throw. My ego feeds into this a little bit too as well. There's no denying it. Y'all ask me, and I'm like, my ego goes out here, right? But y'all, I'm going to get this on a shirt. I've seen it and I love it. It's my ego. And I think I said this last time, right? Your ego is not your amigo.
Yes.
Remember?
Yeah, you got to get that on a shirt for sure.
So we got to remember, we got
Yeah,
to,
that's all you.
change some
So that
humility.
is, my ego is not my
Your
amigo.
ego is not your amigo.
Yeah, we loved that last time.
Yeah.
But I
That can
won't
go on the
lie.
wall. That can go on the wall.
Right.
Mhm.
I won't lie. My ego does get a little inflated
Uh-huh.
and such, but I've gotten better at keeping it in check.
You're aware of it.
But but it's okay to have a little bit of that sometimes, because that gives you a little bit of strength and it gives you some confidence in yourself. So there's confidence and cockiness are two different things.
That's right. They are.
Your mental strength is so important while you fight cancer.
Yeah.
It's a huge part of fighting cancer.
Yeah.
It's in there fighting every little cancer cell.
Right.
Through your mental strength. That's a part of it.
Yeah.
Along with chemo. And
Right. Exactly, right. Yeah. So.
But see, you're fighting cancer, and yet what you just said in the last couple of minutes is your still number one thing is to fight for people's recovery.
100%.
You're still putting them first.
Yeah.
Recovery first.
Recovery.
Yeah.
And the great thing is, I get something out of it. I get
That $1 million of love. That's not
right.
cash. That's love.
It's that insurance that I get on my own recovery.
Mhm.
I know of people that have 45 plus years of sobriety. I'd rather hear from that dude that just walked off the street. Right? That's the bank right there that I get is I learn from these men that I work with and I hear shares from in meetings and stuff. And I get more quality out of that than I would out of a dollar bill any day. And I know by doing that, this is tough for me to do, but I know that deep in my heart, I know that by doing what I'm doing and doing the right thing and doing my best to take it day by day, that everything's going to be okay.
Yeah. So what does the day by day look like for you? I know you're going through chemo. You're still trying to work a little bit here and there as much as you can. And what do your days look like?
I try to still keep a schedule as I would when I was working full time. Get up, coffee, 6 o'clock in the morning. Get the day rolling, and try to take it on as best as I can. It starts a little sluggish now, a little slower because I'm not really working right now. I tried. I'm still employed with Authentic. God love them again. But they understand and they're like, you take care of yourself, man, because when we want you 100%.
You're working with family.
Right. And so I'm just kind of on a leave, if you will, right now. I tried to do a couple of groups and I kept having to cancel, and that part of the business, right, they can't really have, because the clients aren't getting what they need out of it, right? If I'm canceling groups all the time. And I understand that totally, right? I wouldn't want to be that client and I'm like, oh great, canceled on me again. And I could have been off, doing something with my kids or something, right?
I'm off.
So we just kind of come to a conclusion that, you just take care of yourself right now. Breeze and Kelly both are just 100% animate about the whole thing. Like, don't even sweat it, man. Like, whatever you need, you let us know, but if you need time, you take your time and you get healthy. And then when you're ready, we're ready to have you back. And I love that about it. So I try to get up and be productive, whether that be doing my laundry or cleaning the dishes or walking the dog, stuff like that. But I generally find that I poop out about halfway through the day. Like, I went to a memorial on Saturday for this kid and then went to a meeting and then I did a lot of the rest of the day. So,
but this is all part of your cancer recovery
Right.
too. So it's all, you got to keep these things moving. And when you finally peter out at the end of the day, that's what you do. But at least you put in some work.
I got to do something. I'm not genetically engineered to be able to be okay sitting around doing nothing. I'm just not built that way. I have to be, I'm always go. I have to be doing something, right? And I get it a lot from especially Danielle, like, stop it. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the Bob Newhart Stop It video.
I don't think
I
so.
highly recommend it if you're in for a good laugh. It's hilarious. But I showed it to her and she couldn't stop laughing. But basically, it's stop it, right? And I'm like, babe, I got this. She just stop it. Just go lay down. Whatever, stop it, right? So people are holding me accountable to get that rest. My counselor, Cheryl Wells, who has been with Stout Street for over 25 years as a graduate and a counselor, she's like, you need to find balance. So my thing this past week has been working on balance. Balance of my day, balance of my medications, my diet, somewhat get a little better exercise, my mental balance. I'm not going to say that I've gotten my substance use recovery balance down because it always changes. But this is a new set of balance, right? And that's one of the great challenges. I hear a guy at a meeting, he sometimes talks about it, and he says, take the 12-step challenge and see what you think. This whole recovery thing is a challenge and it evolves. And what's even better about it is so do we. And you take that and you're willing to put half that effort into your recovery that you are into your sobriety, then you got this licked, right? But it's always an ever evolving and changing, just like from the day we were born, right? But it's a magical thing and it's a magical process that starts to happen after a while. And the evolution of who we become as human beings shows more of that in this world. Because it's such a great evolution. To see people and to be one of those people. We're spitting images of that right here, right? We're sitting testimonials on this.
Not the people who we are, not who we used to be.
We're not who we were meant to be. Then, no, now, yes.
Yeah.
We are now who we were meant to be. And our purpose is different, but our purposes are the same. It's like, this recovery and this evolution, of progression of being beautiful, magical, decent human beings. And again, wouldn't the world be a great place? Everybody did some sort of program of recovery.
Yeah. Some type of philosophical program of something.
Not to get too deep.
Right. Something. Yeah.
But I mean, anything else that I could say, to leave everyone with is practice humility and gratitude every day that you can. Look yourself in the mirror and tell yourself you're worth it.
Yeah.
And that you love yourself. And by all means, get involved in a program of recovery. You cannot do this by yourself. You cannot lone wolf this period. There is, if you want to, my hat's off. Call me when you're done and we'll talk. And I don't mean to be brash like that, but I don't like to sugarcoat it either, because I was that guy that was told the same thing. Call me when you're done. Well, I had to go get done. But please do it before it's too late.
You reminded me of a quote I heard earlier today, which was, don't say anything to yourself that you wouldn't say to someone who you love. Just that way you say to how you treat yourself. It's so important.
Yeah.
Tim, I'm going to be putting you in my prayers for this cancer fight that you are going to win. I want to say what's up to your child, to your kids.
Yeah.
What's happening? I know how important it is for you to have them in your life. So I just want to give them a big shout out and let them know that there's a lot of love in this room for them.
Thank you. Love you guys.
Thank you for being here with us and, and coming back in to share. And your strength is amazing.
Well, thank you for that. Compliments I don't take well, but
Your strength is amazing. If you ever need somebody, we're friends on Facebook, you know. If you're ever like, hey, Slim, got a few minutes to be up. I'll be happy to be here for you whenever you need.
appreciate it.
I want to thank you for being here. Mile High. Our guest is Timothy DeWeese. If you're just joining us right now, if you just showing up a little late, want to invite you to start the program from the beginning. Share it with a friend. Share it with a family member. Post it on your page. Maybe it gets shared with somebody you don't even know. Maybe you have somebody who you know that's dealing with cancer, and their strength is wavering as they battle cancer. Maybe they'll find some strength in Tim's words here today too. Want to thank you for checking out our program. If you want to be a guest here, all you need to do is hit us up right in the DMs and let us know, hey, I want to come on in and I want to share. Everybody is welcome. And we cherish everything that you have to share. So if you're saying, you guys have had somebody already from Stout Street. I went to Stout Street. Come on down.
Mhm.
We want you too.
Absolutely.
All right. Everybody's of such importance. So come join us. This is Sharing Our Stories. We're going to be back in 2 weeks. We're not going to be here next week, but we'll be back in 2 weeks. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you to Timothy DeWeese. And we will see you back here. Oh, thank you to Nani.
Yes,
The Nani.
that's right.
And we will see you back here in just a couple of weeks for Sharing Our Stories. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.